You thought part 1 was chilling. Just wait, because the ghost towns in this chapter are even darker. From forgotten mining camps to drowned cities rising from the depths. These are places where the past refuses to stay buried, and where every whisper in the wind might belong to someone who never left. Ready to step deeper into America's most haunted ghost towns? One, Friendship, Maine. Founded in 1750, the coastal town of Friendship, Maine, promised a life of peace and prosperity through shipbuilding and fishing, but its name belies a darker truth. In 1758, during the French and Indian War, Wabanaki warriors raided the settlement, killing and capturing dozens. The attack left the soil soaked in blood, and though the town was rebuilt, the shadow of violence never lifted. Today, Friendship is a quiet harbor town, framed by fog and rocky shores. Yet many say its past still lingers. Locals whisper of ghostly ships drifting silently across Muscongas Bay, their lanterns glowing before fading into mist. Fishermen have heard voices calling from the waves at night, only to find no one there. Historic homes along the coast are plagued by phantom footsteps and doors slamming without reason. Some tell of a pale man in colonial garb, seen pacing the shoreline, his hollow eyes fixed on the sea before vanishing without a trace. Paranormal investigators near the old burial grounds have recorded eerie cries and prayers in the night air, echoes of the raid that scarred the town centuries ago. Friendship may seem peaceful to the eye, but its haunted shores remind visitors that not all wounds heal with time. 2. St. Thomas, Nevada. Founded in 1865 by Mormon settlers, St. Thomas was once a thriving farming community along the Muddy River. Families raised cattle, cultivated fertile fields, and built schools and churches that anchored life in the desert. But in the 1930s, the Hoover Dam sealed the town's fate. As Lake Mead filled, the rising waters crept across the valley, forcing residents to abandon their homes. By 1938, St. Thomas was gone, drowned beneath the lake's surface, its streets and buildings lost to the depths. For decades, it remained submerged, until drought slowly revealed its skeletal ruins. Those who walk its exposed foundations speak of unsettling experiences. Many claim to hear phantom church bells ringing faintly on the wind, though no bell has chimed here in nearly 100 years. Others describe children's laughter echoing around the crumbled schoolhouse, only to vanish into silence. Paranormal investigators have captured glowing orbs and disembodied voices near the ruins, especially as night falls and the desert air grows cold. Some hikers even report seeing shadowy figures drifting through the broken streets, residents who never truly left their drowned town. St. Thomas may have been claimed by the waters once, but its spirits rise with every drought, reminders that some places refuse to stay buried. South Pass City, Wyoming. Founded in 1867 during the Wyoming Gold Rush, South Pass City quickly grew into a booming frontier settlement of more than 2,000 people. Gold drew prospectors to the Sweetwater mining district, and with them came saloons, hotels, and even a courthouse. For a brief moment, it seemed destined to thrive. But as the mines emptied and fortunes faded, the population dwindled. By the early 1900s, the once lively town was nearly deserted, its wooden buildings left to creak and rot in the relentless wind. Yet many say South Pass City is far from silent. Visitors to the historic site often report phantom footsteps echoing across the wooden boardwalks, though no one is in sight. Deep in the Carissa mine, Investigators have recorded chilling temperature drops and faint voices whispering through the tunnels. At the old Smith Sherlock store, some have seen the dark outline of a man pacing the upper floor, even when the building is locked tight. Rangers themselves confess they avoid certain places after sunset, claiming the oppressive air feels thick with unseen eyes. South Pass City may appear to be only a relic of the Wild West, but its ghosts seem unwilling to leave. And if these lonely plains haunt your imagination, the next stop may leave you shivering long after the story ends. 4. Helltown, Ohio. Helltown is the chilling nickname given to Boston Township, Ohio, after the federal government purchased much of the land in the 1970s. Families were forced to leave, their homes boarded up, churches abandoned, and entire streets left eerily silent. The official story claimed the land was destined to become a national park, but the abrupt evacuation sparked darker tales, whispers of satanic rituals, mutated creatures in the woods, and spirits that refused to leave with the townsfolk. While many of these legends are folklore, the uneasy presence that hangs over Helltown is all too real. Those who venture into its deserted roads often report phantom headlights racing toward them, only to vanish into thin air. Some describe the heart-wrenching sound of children crying near long-abandoned houses, though the buildings have been empty for decades. Paranormal investigators have recorded mysterious knocks and disembodied voices inside the hollow churches, while others claim to see dark figures slipping silently between the trees, watching from the shadows. Even seasoned rangers confess the area feels unnaturally oppressive after nightfall, as though the land itself is steeped in resentment. Helltown may be shrouded in myth, but the fear it inspires is genuine. And if this cursed settlement unsettles you, the next ghost town will drag you even deeper into darkness. 5. Auraria, Georgia. Founded in 1832 during America's first major gold rush, Auraria began as a bustling camp of miners, merchants, and dreamers chasing sudden riches. Saloons, shops, and cabins sprang up almost overnight, fueled by the fever of fortune. But Auraria's prosperity was short-lived. When richer deposits were found in nearby Dahlonega, its people packed up and left, abandoning the once thriving settlement to rot in Georgia's damp air. By the late 1800s, Auraria was little more than a ghost of its former self. Still, many believe the spirits of its miners never left. Travelers at dusk report the phantom sound of horse hooves striking dirt roads long vanished. Some speak of shadowy figures, bent beneath the weight of pickaxes and pans, trudging endlessly toward the riverside. Paranormal investigators have detected unexplained whispers and icy chills near the remains of the trading post, as if long-forgotten bargains are still being struck. One eerie tale tells of a dark figure silently watching from the water's edge, vanishing without a trace when approached. Auraria may have been deserted in pursuit of greater wealth, but its ghosts linger stubbornly, bound to the riverbanks and decaying cabins. And if this lost gold town makes you uneasy, the next haunted place may leave your blood running cold. 6. Nelson, Nevada. Founded in the 1850s after gold and silver were discovered in El Dorado Canyon, Nelson quickly became infamous. The Tecaticup mine, one of Nevada's richest, also earned a reputation as one of its bloodiest. Violence and greed ruled the canyon shootings, feuds, and murders were common, and law was scarce. Though the mines produced a fortune, by the early 20th century, Nelson slipped into decline, its population dwindling as the boom faded. Today, its decaying buildings and rusting machinery remain preserved as a ghost town, attracting curious visitors and paranormal investigators. But Nelson's violent history lingers in more than stories. Travelers report shadowy figures standing silently at the mine entrances, disappearing when approached. Others hear phantom gunfire echoing through the desert long after the last outlaw fell. Deep in the Tacatacup tunnels, investigators have documented icy drafts, eerie whispers, and the unmistakable ring of pickaxes striking stone. Some visitors describe being gripped by sudden waves of dread, as if hostile eyes are watching from the canyon walls. Even rangers admit that, at night, the windows of the old saloon sometimes glow with a faint, inexplicable light, though the building has no power. Nelson is not just a relic of the Wild West. It is a graveyard of ambition and blood. And if its haunted canyons unsettle you, the next ghost town may leave you trembling in the dark. Cheffa 7, Picher, Oklahoma. Founded in 1913, Picher rose quickly as the center of Oklahoma's booming lead and zinc mining industry. At its height, the town was home to over 14,000 people and supplied much of the metal that fueled America's wars. But beneath the prosperity, disaster was building. Decades of reckless mining poisoned the soil and water, leaving behind mountains of toxic chat piles. By the early 2000s, the contamination was so severe that the Environmental Protection Agency deemed it one of the most toxic places in the nation. In 2009, the last residents were forced to leave, and Picher officially became a ghost town, its homes and schools left to rot under a toxic sky. But the emptiness carries an unsettling weight. Visitors speak of phantom children's laughter drifting from the abandoned school playground, though no child has played there in years. Shadowy figures are said to move silently among the skeletal houses, and glowing orbs of light appear around the poisoned mine tailings. Some investigators claim to have seen entire groups of people standing motionless in the distance, only to watch them dissolve into dust. Locals who lived there say the land feels cursed, as though the earth itself remembers the suffering it endured. Picher is a chilling reminder of greed's consequences, an abandoned town where even the soil seems haunted. And if this poisoned wasteland unsettles you, the next ghost town may drag you even deeper into darkness. 8. Cisco, Utah. Cisco began in the 1880s as a simple water stop for steam locomotives cutting across the Utah desert. Before long, it grew into a rough-and-tumble town, catering to ranchers, railroad workers, and weary travelers with saloons, shops, and repair stations. But progress left Cisco behind. As railroads modernized and highways bypassed the settlement, it withered. By the mid-20th century, Cisco was deserted, its buildings collapsing under the desert sun. Today, only rusting cars, broken gas pumps, and hollowed-out homes remain scattered across the sand, a ghostly outpost preserved in ruin. Yet the desert silence carries unsettling stories. Motorists on nearby I-70 sometimes report mysterious lights flickering among Cisco's ruins, only to vanish when approached. Explorers claim to hear faint conversations inside abandoned houses, though the rooms are empty. Paranormal teams describe sudden cold winds sweeping through still air and the heavy feeling of unseen eyes tracking their every move. One photographer swore he captured a figure framed in a doorway, but when he checked, there were no footprints in the dust. Cisco may seem like nothing more than rust and wood, but some believe its spirits still wander the ruins, unwilling to leave. And if this forgotten desert town rattles your nerves, the next haunted place may chill you to the bone. Sat behind. Castle Dome Landing, Arizona. Founded in 1863 along the Colorado River, Castle Dome Landing thrived as both a steamboat port and a silver mining hub. For years, its saloons, dance halls, and bustling streets drew fortune seekers chasing desert riches. But when the mines faltered and river traffic slowed, the town began to wither. By the 1970s, Castle Dome was abandoned, leaving only weathered cabins, relics, and the bones of a once booming settlement. Today, the Castle Dome Mines Museum preserves what remains a ghost town, frozen against the shifting sands of Arizona. Yet many believe its history is far from silent. Travelers claim to hear the ghostly music of a saloon piano drifting through the night air. Though no piano stands there now, shadows are said to glide along cabin walls before vanishing in lamplight. Deep in the tunnels, visitors whisper of miners' voices echoing picks, striking stone, though no hands wield them. One museum worker swore he felt an icy hand clamp his shoulder inside the assay office. Though he was alone, even photographs sometimes capture pale faces staring from shattered windows. Where no living soul stood, Castle Dome Landing may look like a museum of the past, but its spirits seem unwilling to be archived. And if the desert echoes here make your skin crawl, the next haunted town will sink its claws even deeper. 10. Bayhorse, Idaho. In 1877, silver strikes in the Salmon River Mountains gave birth to Bayhorse, a rugged mining town carved into the wilderness. Within a few short years, smelters belched smoke, saloons overflowed with laughter, and more than 300 people called it home. But the veins of silver thinned, and by the early 1900s, Bayhorse was left to rot. Today, stone walls crumble, rusting smelter stacks lean against the wind, and weathered cabins stand as relics of Idaho's restless past. But some say Bayhorse never emptied. Explorers claim to hear the rhythmic clang of hammers and pickaxes echoing from the sealed mines, as if unseen workers still toil in the dark. In the blacksmith shop, shadowy figures have been spotted slipping between beams, vanishing when approached. Paranormal teams report sudden chills and glowing orbs drifting through the ruins after sunset. One camper told of being jolted awake by the sound of heavy, labored breathing just outside his tent, only to find the night utterly still when he stepped out. Bayhorse may be a ruin of stone and silence by day, but when darkness falls, its miners seem to rise again. And if these mountains echo with ghosts, the next haunted town may feel even harder to escape. 11. Dawson, New Mexico. Founded in 1901 by the Phelps Dodge Corporation, Dawson quickly grew into a thriving coal mining town. At its height, more than 9,000 people lived there, supported by schools, a hospital, and even a theater. But Dawson's prosperity was shattered by catastrophe. In 1913, a mine explosion killed 263 men, one of the deadliest disasters in U.S. history. Just 10 years later, tragedy struck again. Another blast claimed 121 lives. By the 1950s, the mines closed for good, and Dawson faded into silence. Today, all that endures is the cemetery, where rows of white iron crosses stand in haunting tribute. Yet Dawson is far from forgotten. Visitors to the cemetery often speak of ghostly lantern lights swaying between the graves, as though the miners still search for a way out. Some claim to hear the distant rumble of mine carts beneath the ground, despite the tunnels being sealed for decades. Paranormal researchers have captured faint whispers in Spanish and Italian, the voices of immigrant miners who once fueled the town. A few have even reported soot-stained figures emerging in the moonlight, only to dissolve back into the earth. Dawson is more than a ghost town. It is a graveyard for the living and the dead. And if this sorrowful silence chills you, the next haunted town may pull you deeper into darkness. 12. Cairo, Illinois. At the meeting point of the Ohio and Mississippi rivers. Cairo was founded in the 1850s and quickly rose to prominence as a bustling river port. Steamboats lined its docks, railroads converged, and wealth poured into the city. During the Civil War, Cairo became a key Union supply base, and by the late 19th century, its grand hotels, theaters, and mansions reflected a golden age of prosperity. But with industrial decline, racial strife, and economic collapse, Cairo's fortunes withered. By the late 20th century, its once vibrant downtown was abandoned, its streets eerily quiet beneath the weight of lost glory. Yet Cairo's silence is far from empty. The crumbling Gem Theater is said to host spectral figures in period dress, wandering the aisles before vanishing into the shadows. In abandoned hotels, visitors report faint conversations echoing down ruined corridors, or the sound of music's soft jazz notes floating through streets long stripped of life. Paranormal teams exploring the decayed neighborhoods have recorded sudden cold drafts, unexplained EMF spikes, and even fleeting shapes moving past broken windows. Cairo is a city that died but refuses to rest. Its ghosts walk hand in hand with history, reminding us that some echoes never fade. And if this river town unsettles you, the next haunted place will pull you even deeper into America's forgotten past. 13. Eagle Mountain, California. Eagle Mountain was born in 1948, carved out of the barren desert of Riverside County as a company town for Kaiser Steel. Thousands of miners and their families flocked to its tidy homes, schools, and shops, building a thriving community in the shadow of the open-pit iron mine. For decades, the hum of machinery and the clang of ore echoed through the valley, fueling America's steel boom. But by 1983, the mines ran dry, practically overnight. The town emptied classrooms still held desks, store shelves gathered dust, and Eagle Mountain became a hollow monument to industry's decline. Those who dare to wander its ruins say the town never fully died. Explorers hear the rhythmic slam of locker doors in the abandoned high school, or the squeak of shoes on the polished gym floor, though no one is there. Desert winds carry whispers through broken windows, and lights flicker near the mine's gaping pits long after dark. A former security guard swore he heard the steady clang of pickaxes striking rock, though the mine has lain silent for over 40 years. Recordings from ghost hunters reveal faint voices, disembodied and restless, as if the miners still answer a shift that never ends. Eagle Mountain is more than a forgotten town. It is a place where silence has weight, and the desert itself seems to breathe with memories. And if you think the sands are quiet, the next haunted place may prove otherwise. And 14. Gilman, Colorado. High above the Eagle River, clinging to a cliffside, lies Gilman, a town founded in 1886 during Colorado's mining boom. For decades, silver, lead, and zinc poured from its mines, and the community flourished with schools, homes, and busy streets. But prosperity came at a hidden cost. Poison from years of unchecked mining seeped into the land and water, turning Gilman into a toxic wasteland. By 1984, the Environmental Protection Agency declared it uninhabitable, and residents were forced to flee, leaving behind their possessions as though time itself had frozen. But Gilman never truly emptied. Those who sneak into the crumbling houses tell of curtains shifting when no breeze blows, or toys rattling faintly in long-abandoned bedrooms. In the mine tunnels below, sealed for decades, the echo of heavy boots and clanging tools has been reported. Sounds of workers who never clocked out. Paranormal teams exploring the old schoolhouse have captured chilling EVP laughter of unseen children, whispers in the dark, and sudden drops in temperature that leave investigators shaken. Some explorers describe a suffocating pressure, an invisible force that seems to push them out, as if the poisoned ground itself rejects the living. Gilman is more than a ghost town. It is a reminder of greed's scars, where both the land and perhaps the souls of its lost residents remain tainted. And if you think this cliffside town unsettles you, the next haunted place may drag you even deeper into the dark. 15. Custer, Idaho. Founded in 1877 deep in Idaho's rugged mountains, Custer rose during the frenzy of the Great Gold Rush. At its height in the 1890s, the town bustled with miners, families, saloons, and the steady pounding of machinery. But as the gold veins dwindled, so too did Custer's fortune. By the early 20th century, the once lively settlement had fallen silent, its wooden structures left to weather and decay under the shadows of the hills. Yet silence in Custer is never complete. Visitors to the preserved ghost town, now part of the land of the Yankee Fork State Park, speak of strange happenings. In the blacksmith shop, some claim to see a miner materialize, his hands blackened with soot, only to dissolve into the night air. Hikers passing the sealed mines often hear the faint strike of pickaxes echoing from within. As though the workers never stopped digging, cold spots drift through sunlit cabins, and more than one ranger tells of hearing a woman's voice calling softly for her child near the schoolhouse ruins, though no living soul was present. Custer may have surrendered its gold long ago, but the spirits of its past seem unwilling to leave. Step carefully here. The echoes of the dead are closer than you think. And if this town chills you, wait until you see what comes next. We've walked through silence, shadows, and towns frozen in time, but some echoes never fade. Which of these haunted places would you dare to visit, or would you rather leave them to the ghosts? Stay with us, because the next journey will plunge us into even stranger, darker corners of the forgotten.